Hey, folks, welcome to the Accessible Hunter podcast. I'm Greg Trainer along with my co host Mike Hudson. And man, we got our buddy Christopher Alen King down in Georgia with us today. And Christopher's been on the podcast before, but Mike, what's going on in South Carolina, dude?
Man, we just got a break from some of the rain. We're building a new accessible pier today, so some of the guys are down there setting joist and trying to get in there between the heat and the shower so we can get these boards on before they start trying to warp in this crazy weather.
Man, isn't that the truth? It was in the 50s here last week, and then it jumped right up to 87. So
Right.
I'm sweating today, and I was freezing last week. I don't think Mother Nature's got her head on straight. I don't know what she's doing to me. But Christopher, what's going on down in Georgia, brother?
Oh man, just dodging this rain like you guys.
Yeah, it's been hit or miss this year, man. I tell you, it's been a crazy season. This no joke for 2025.
Yeah. Fortunately, I mean it's supposed to start back today, but it's we've had a break for about 3 or 4 days, and man, we needed it. It was floating down here.
Yeah.
It can happen really quick. A lot of the areas here had some flooding on small creeks and things because we had bad rains all week, and the creeks were really high. Fortunately, we didn't get any damage around our place or anything, but we had some neighbors that did. So that's always a concern. Um, Christopher, you've been on our podcast last year, and we sure enjoy talking with you. But for those that may not have seen or know about you, you want to tell a little bit about yourself, where you're from, your disability, and that kind of thing, bud?
I got you. Yeah, going to be 51 next month. Was born with spina bifida. Lived here in Georgia my whole life. Up here in North Georgia, right about where the mountains start up here. Just been trying to hunt up here for my whole life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. You're looking good for 51. As soon as I turned 50, mine went all gray, dude. So I have to keep the beard cut back.
It's getting there. I mean, it's getting some in it.
It,
it,
it
it
happens
must
quick.
it must be the beard oil we're using, guys, because mine turned gray recently too, and I just can't figure it out. Whenever I look in the mirror, I don't think I'm that old.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
I like I'm about 25 or 30, but sometimes my body's like, wait a minute, dude.
right, right.
Yeah,
I get that too. People will say, "Man, you look good for your age," and I'm like, I don't know if that's supposed to be a compliment or not, but we'll take it.
man,
No,
man,
my
for 58, I feel pretty good most days. I can't complain, and any day we're rolling around and above ground, I take that as a win. And you know,
100%.
I'd be remiss too that if I didn't mention Mr. Mike Hudson today because you've been injured 30 years today, brother, and you've always been there for people. You've advocated for 30 years for people in wheelchairs and people with disabilities, and that's a long time to be spending in the chair, Mike. So, 30-year alive day, man. I'm glad that you're my friend and glad you're still with us.
yeah,
Hey man,
man.
I truly appreciate that more than you know, man. It's when you say it that way, it sounds like you've been doing it forever and a day. Wheelchair life's rough. You can jump on you pretty quick, and it's not the chair itself, it's always the secondary stuff that we fight. And I was just, man, it's a true blessing anytime we get, how it is when we first get hurt with the spinal cord injuries, they go right into, it's going to take time off your life. Well, here we are still trucking, so God willing, we're going to keep on cruising.
Yeah, man.
We lost a couple of friends this year, Mike.
Yeah.
We always say the disability community is a small community, but we lost several friends this year. It seemed like uh, I don't know, for whatever reason it hit people with spinal cord injuries hard this year, and maybe we know a lot more people than we used to. But I'd like to say thoughts and prayers to their families that they
Yeah.
didn't have the opportunity that you and I have, and they definitely didn't have the longevity in the chairs that you and I have got to experience.
It's funny enough, me and Christopher were just with Billy Daw, what, 2 years ago in Tennessee.
Yeah,
And, now he's gone. And he was always one of those guys, always super nice, always trying to put out an encouraging word every day. And then just like overnight, man, he's gone, and that's kind of what we're expecting in life, here today, gone tomorrow. We have to be prepared to either preach, pray, or die, man, because at any time it can come on.
Yes, sir.
Going to be called, brother.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about turkey hunting because Christopher has always had a lot of success. I mean, he is a hunting fanatic, and especially when it comes to turkeys. How was your season, buddy? I know how it was, but you want to elaborate a little bit on it?
Good, but it was a tough season. The birds just they ain't cooperating up here down here in Georgia. Man. They were quiet and sneaky, and just once the season got here, they disappeared. It was.
No, we were seeing that here in South Carolina, man. I told Greg and them we were seeing them out strutting. They were gobbling. I mean, going nuts a week before the season started. And
Yeah,
somebody gave them a calendar this year, man, because they shut it down hard.
man. I came down there to South Carolina and to the Savannah Riverside hunt. I got drawn for that this year.
Yeah.
Our guide was like, man, he's like, I don't mean to break your heart or anything. He's like, but there just ain't no turkeys here this year. And we wound up tagging out down there. But he's like, man, he's like, I put 300 or 400 miles on my truck for a week. And there was no turkeys here. And I was like, well, man, just because you didn't see them don't mean they ain't here. But
That's right.
sometimes,
And that's
listen.
right. And that's the kicker, man. You know, you and I both can hunt right there at the Savannah River site. That place is usually loaded with deer, loaded with turkey. You know, maybe it's the materials that they possess over on the property or whatever, but they've always been loaded. And then to have them not seeing anything, but like
Yeah.
you said, that we've talked about that a little bit, and I'd like to get your opinion. But we're seeing some studies where DNR is saying, you know, maybe these birds are not sounding off as much because of predators. You know, as soon as they're hitting the ground, they're getting quiet because the coyotes are encroachment. I don't know. It's just weird.
You know, I hunted a little bit in Alabama this year too, and I kind of feel like maybe the predators have some to do with it, but I think there was a lot of jakes this year. I
Yeah.
had the jake decoy out, and I had some live hens in my down there where I was at, and some hen decoys, and I had a gobbler come out about 190 yards, and he would not come down there. And I kind of feel like they're kind of avoiding them jakes this year for some reason. Maybe maybe next year's going to be a different year, but I think they were kind of running from them this year.
I think personally, it kind of goes up and down with good years and bad years. And, you had mentioned that you'd been on several hunts out of state and a couple of hunts with groups. And these guides, they put a lot of miles on their boots and on their trucks trying to get people with disabilities a bird or at least an opportunity. And I think sometimes it's just the day of the week that we show up and we're expecting to get a bird, we're expecting to have a good hunt. And sometimes it just doesn't turn out that we get a shot. But everything that people are doing for people with disabilities, getting them out hunting, we so appreciate. It's just you can't guarantee a shot to somebody.
Oh no, man, that's hunting. It's like I was like, don't matter if you see anything or not. We're here. You know.
You know that you guys bring up a great point. Just getting out there with a chair, man, that's tough enough as it is, and being able to hide them. And I know, I hunt down there with you in South Georgia some, Christopher, and the terrains. It's either hit or miss. You got some sandy soil, some clays. It's hard to get a wheelchair out there. Being up in North Georgia, what's the terrain like for you up there? How are you able to get around?
Man, I got introduced to that sand real quick down there in South Georgia, in South Carolina this year. It was
Yeah.
tough. But up here, man, it's mostly. I mean, most of the roads are hard, but it's like everything a ridge up here, and it ain't like South Georgia, what they call a ridge down there. That's like a bump in the road.
Right.
These hills up here, that's what makes it really tough. Is find a place that that you don't have to have a four-wheeler to get into or something like that. It's like it's pretty tough sometimes.
Christopher, you hunt out of your manual chair, right? You don't use a track chair or any mechanized wheelchair.
Just my manual chair right now.
When you're going into the woods, like how far do you think you go in your manual? Because I know Mike and I have a little bit of an advantage using track chairs and track style chairs. We're a lot more noisy and we can go a little bit further. But what's your limit or the general area that you try to stay in?
My the spots that I usually wind up picking is somewhere I can park my vehicle and it's going to be a flat roll. So it just really depends on where I'm hunting at as to how far I'm going to go. Like I got a spot behind the house I can park and roll about 50 yards and to my blind, and I got a spot over the road where I can park and roll about 150 yards. It
Right.
just really depends on where I'm hunting at.
So for the folks out there that enter in a manual chair that don't have access to a track chair or what have you, we want to kind of emphasize that you can kill birds 50 yards off of a dirt road or a parking area. You don't have to go miles back into the woods in order to get a shot.
And I've actually, when I first started getting away from my vehicle with my chair, it was something new for me. And actually, where I was hunting at, I would actually park and I could see my vehicle, and I would have turkeys walk right past my vehicle when I was, thought I was hidden over there and was hiding from these birds. If I'd been sitting in my car, I probably could have grabbed them. You don't.
I'm seeing a lot of that too, where I'm at. When we go down and hunt, like with the KT guys, they're so rural out there, any movement or whatever, the turkeys are all over it. But up here, we've got so much encroachment. We got vehicles passing up and down the road, a lot more road noise. It seems like I can get away a little bit with some movement, but they changed us up this year. We couldn't kill jakes at all in South Carolina, and so I had the same thing happen. Birds were coming in; they wouldn't get no closer than 70 yards, and then they would steer clear of the jakes. I had a jake decoy out, and they kept doing it. They would gobble, they would come up in the field, but they never would approach that jake.
So that's a state law about not killing a jake.
This year, DNR changed it up this year and said no jakes.
Yeah,
So, I think they're trying to get some more mature birds in, and they look at diagnostics on what kind of season we had as far as breeding, all that. So you might be right. We've had a bunch of jakes this year. Maybe next year is going to be a boomer year.
Yep.
I hope they go back to gobbling next year. The bird I wound up killing in Georgia, we've been hunting that spot ever since the opening day, and
Right.
I had not heard one single bird in there, but I knew they were there. And the bird I wound up taking from that property, he came in, never made a peep. He just right on in.
I don't have any scientific data, Christopher, about birds gobbling or not gobbling. But it seems like to me, as you guys said earlier, we have some coyotes up here, and it seems like the birds just the last few years are not gobbling as much as they used to, at least in my opinion. Again, I don't have any scientific data to back that up, but if your bird came in silent and you spend a lot of days out in the field scouting and roosting birds, and if you're not hearing a lot of gobbles, I tend to believe you.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was a really strange year this year here. As far, I know the birds were here, but they were not talking.
It's weird enough. You hate to keep harping on that subject, but I told Greg and I told Jason Beard, we were talking about it the week before that. We were down in the field. We were building a deck, man. So we had a generator running. We had all this stuff, and 100 yards away from us, we had three longbeards, full strut. You can hear them gobble, acting a fool. We get quiet. We take all that material out of there, and man, they're not making a sound.
I know.
Nothing.
It's I don't know. Maybe they figured us out.
Maybe that's a good point, Christopher. Uh, Buddy, what got you into turkey hunting initially? Like, who motivated you, or how did you get just tore up with turkeys? Because I like go to you as my go-to turkey guy.
Man, I tell you, honestly, I was really interested in it, and I didn't know anybody that turkey hunted. And I had some people tell me, and it's close family members, that I would never kill a turkey. they're like, you'll never ever kill a turkey, and it lit a fire under me, boy. And I wasn't going to let nobody tell me I was never going to kill a turkey.
Right.
And it just kind of started from there. Now it took me a while to figure it out, but there's an art to killing a turkey in a
Oh
wheelchair.
yeah.
You,
You know
you
what were they basing that off of? Just solely the disability or the chair or
I think everybody, it was old timers, and you know how old timers were. You got to walk 1,400 miles
right,
up
right.
up a hill to kill a turkey.
yeah.
You'll never
Yeah.
choke her into you. I was like, well, we'll see right here, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, you've been killing it pretty consistent over the last years that I've known you and following you on Facebook. So I hope those people that said that to you are the first to congratulate you for tagging out.
Yeah, they kind of ate their words a little bit.
Yeah.
So, man, I got a question for you. I know that you said it took you a little bit to get into the art and knack of doing all of it, but man, you've been making some beautiful calls. So you went from trying to figure it out to heck, I'm just going to start building my own calls.
Yeah, man. Thanks. I appreciate that. It's been a journey. I mean, I know I haven't been doing it that long, but man, kind of the ear for it, and just stay out in that building, and you got to keep on going until you get it to how it sounds. What?
And
No?
and for those that aren't familiar with your call business, Christopher, it's King's Custom Calls, right?
Yeah.
And what kind of calls do you make, buddy?
I build pot calls, slate calls, glass calls.
That,
You
that's
know,
awesome.
we're both blessed that we get to hunt with a lot of those guys down in South Georgia, and they've got just the ultimate callers out there.
Yeah.
And spending time with like Mark Perdome and KT Terrell, those guys, KT is one of those guys, he's gonna tell you why he's doing what he's doing. And he's told me over and over again, don't get on YouTube and follow some certain caller, whatever. Just get out and listen to the birds.
Yep.
And
I've birds.
right, right. And man, I've been listening to your pot calls, dude. They're getting really good, and it's awesome to watch you. It's different when you're seeing all these guys that we get to hunt with, right? That are hunting, but none of them that are doing all the calling look like me and you.
Yeah.
And to see a guy that's in a chair doing it and doing it well, dude, it gets me excited.
Yeah, man. What I kind of the way I always felt about it is, I never got to be in no kind of sports.
Right,
I ain't never going to be the best turkey hunter, and I ain't never going to be the best deer hunter. But I can build a call, and it don't matter if I can walk or crawl.
right.
It to those guys.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, Christopher, I understand you're headed somewhere this evening to kind of put that to the test a little bit, right?
Yeah, we're headed down to Alabama to Mobile to the World's calling championship down there. And so I won my first hunter division last year. So since I won the hunter division, I can't call in that division no more. I had to move up to the friction guys. So
Right.
calling against Grand National calling champions, and it's a whole different ball game, buddy.
Yeah, man, when you're getting in there with guys like Dave Owen and those cats, man, they got a knack for it, man. I mean, it is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I hope to. So tomorrow morning will be the preliminaries for the friction division, and there's 13 spots. But really, man, I mean, you're fighting for maybe 4 spots because you got guys that are gonna get in there.
Oh, 100%.
There'll be probably 40 of us fighting for those 4 spots, and if I were to make that cut, it'd be pretty cool.
Christopher, how does that work? I've never been to a calling contest, let alone the worlds, and I'm sure not everybody understands the process. Could you walk us through that a little bit, bud?
Yeah, so we'll get there in the morning. We'll draw numbers. There'll be however many. I think there's 5 or 7 judges. I can't exactly remember. And everybody will take their turn, and you'll get judged on. I think the calls tomorrow are going to be assembly call, tree yelp, fly down cackle, and kiki run. So you'll get judged on those calls, and whoever whoever gets the high score is going to get it, make it to the next day.
So they do it a lot like nationals, where they give you a scenario and you kind of run through the whole call sequence.
Well, there won't be a scenario for the friction, but they'll call you up and it'll be caller number one, fly down cackle, and you'll do
Gotcha.
fly down, and then they'll say the next call. But the open will have a scenario, like the open, like mouth calls. They
Right.
goes for that.
Christopher, is it all blind judging? I mean, are you like behind the curtain? Do they know who the caller is, or how does that work?
Yeah, they don't know who you are. They'll be behind a curtain, either below you or above you. This is my first time going to this one, so I'm not where they'll be at.
I got a question because we've been to some of those national calling competitions, and coming from a wheelchair guy, I've watched over time how Matt Van Sice and Dave and all those guys kind of move across stage. Do you move with your chair like they do, or do you sit still so your chair is not given away? Or
And I've kind of tried to start moving a little bit here and
right.
there, but running a pot call, once you move, it's like you're starting over every time.
Yeah,
But last year when I won that hunter division, what's kind of funny is I wanted to move around, but the a little bit, but the stage was a little off kilter, so I up high, and it would let me roll down a little bit, so it gave the illusion, well, not the illusion, but it's
You, you better put those brakes on at the Worlds, buddy. I don't want to read about you rolling off the stage at the Worlds.
well, hopefully that there's not much of a stage up there. So, but man, last year we went to the U.S. Open in Louisiana, and those
yeah,
couple of days, about a week before the competition, that they were doing a live video of the stage they were building, and they had all these stairs going up to the stage. So I messaged Kenny. I was like, "Hey man, is there a different way to get in, like up onto that stage?" I was like, "I'm coming down there, and I can't get up all those steps." Man, they tore that whole thing apart and built a big old ramp.
I remember seeing that on Facebook, and I thought, those are some guys that really understand the outdoors, and they want to make it accessible for everyone. And they didn't hesitate to do that, Christopher. And that was a heck of a video they put up. And for them to recognize that you needed access, I bet that's going to continue in the future, so that anybody with a disability, anybody that needs a ramp, they're going to have it there without question from now on.
Yeah, I hope so. I've said it a couple times. If I haven't done anything else in this industry, I got that contest accessible.
Yep.
right. And that's what it's about, man. Just making awareness. Jason's great at mouth calls and stuff, and we wanted to see him in some of that, and just being able to get the chairs in there. We
Yeah,
we talk about inclusion. Those guys made it happen, and that's what we want to see is challenge stereotypes.
yeah. I felt kind of bad because we're not going back down there this year. But man, Worlds and it's only, I mean, it's so much money to go to all these contests, and
Sure.
these two contests, the Worlds and the U.S. Open, are back to back. So it's like we had to pick one or the we're going to go.
Well, you probably need a bigger pocketbook for next year, Christopher. That's all. Start
Yeah,
eating peanut butter and jelly like me and Mike, and you can afford more contests. That's always my philosophy. I'd rather eat peanut butter and jelly and go somewhere than eat chicken and steak somewhere.
got to start winning more of these contests.
I hope you do, man. What calls are you taking to the world? Do you only get to compete with one call, or do you have multiple calls?
Uh,
What's your plan on that?
I've been trying to use mostly my calls that I build, but I'll take what, like for the Kiki run, I'm going to take a Marlin long box because I don't build a Kiki box or anything like that. But I'll take I've got a slate call that I'm going to run, a glass call I'm going to run. I've got a per box that Zach Conaway built, and I'm going to
Yeah.
use that box. So hopefully, it gets the job done.
Man, talking about that, is there any chance or opportunities for any sponsors, local guys that can help you out with that, or is it something we can help donate to help get you there, or do you have anything like that in the works right now?
Um, I don't really have any sponsors. I mean, I'm a part of the Talk About It Outdoors podcast, and I ride with those guys, and we're kind of paying our own way and everything.
Right.
But they thought about any sponsors or anything like that. I'm not sure how that even works.
We sure hope you do get some sponsors for the travel cost. I mean, that I was kind of joking around about the peanut butter and jelly, but anytime you travel for your hobby or travel for hunting, it costs just a ton of money just to get there.
Oh God, man, hotel rooms they're not like they used to be. They're expensive.
That's a fact.
The hunting industry in itself has gotten crazy. When you could, used to just hunt with old military fatigues, and now you go buy just hunting pants, man. It's $150 for a
But
pair of pants.
man, and it's like I don't even use that much of them.
Yeah.
I I've started to go with the basic black for the ground blinds anymore, guys. I don't buy the fancy camo or anything. If I can wear black in the ground blind, that's how I try to roll anymore.
Man, I can't give up my mossy oak. I love that stuff. Whether
Oh,
it gets lost in the blind or not.
I love it. I think it's a great pattern and looks good on a t-shirt and looks good on a hat. But I've made the choice to go with black clothing just because when we're taking pictures and things, I can see myself so much, standing out wearing camo in a ground blind. Whereas if I'm in black and have a black scarf around me, it seems like I blend in a lot more. I don't know if that's, true or the right thing to do, but that's my plan now.
Yeah, I'm sure it's true. Especially with the inside of those blinds being so darked out now.
Yeah.
Right. That's the way we got to do. We got to make these chairs go away. The hardest part is, me and Greg in power chairs. They're just big, bulky. They're noisy. But there's ways to do it. I mean, they got so much stuff out there now. You could throw stuff on top of it. Next thing you know, the chair's gone.
Yeah, man. You got to get there early too. You got to
Yep.
they wake up.
That's a fact. Christopher, what advice would you give somebody that wants to maybe start turkey hunting? How do they get into the sport?
Don't let nobody tell you can't do it, man. Just I know we were talking about YouTube, but that there's so much information out there, or
Yeah.
just somebody to help you. I can remember the first time we ever went. Me and my cousin went, and we ripped that call out of the package, and we're sitting down there in a creek bottom reading the back of the package on how to operate.
Heck yeah.
I mean, so you,
What it's not, like we're trying to disparage anybody, from not going to YouTube and not any of that. It's just like you say, the old school guys are saying, hey, if you want to know it, listen to the natural birds. But
yeah,
I'm like you, how do you learn to deer hunt? I learned from my grandfather or, somebody in your family. You didn't have that coming up with the turkey. You just got out there and,
yeah,
spend time doing it. You find a craft that you like and love it.
yeah, man. You just got to do it. I mean, it might be 2 acres you're sitting on, or 10,000 acres, but just find you some permission. Somebody will let you hunt.
Right.
Take you.
Christopher, what shotgun do you use, buddy? I like to use a crossbow myself most of the time, but have you used the 20 and the 410 or the new TSS ammo? What's your opinion on shotguns for turkey?
Man, I switched to a 28 gauge this year, and I'd always wanted one when I remembered my dad having one because they bird hunted a lot when I was a little
Yeah.
kid. But I always wanted one, but there was no reason to buy one because I mean, there's no birds here anymore. And Mossberg came out with that SA-28 this year. Foxtrot's got that 28 gauge ammo. That thing, it's so light and compact, man. It doesn't weigh you down at all. And I really enjoyed hunting with it this year.
You shooting like standard eights, nines, or you going with TSS or
Yeah,
you
it's SS number nines. It's a straight nine.
got you. And that 28 gauge, I don't care for recoil as much anymore. And if you're stepping up to some of those turkey nitros, and you're getting a 3.5 inch 12 gauge. Man, it will make your chair stand on its back tires.
Man, this has been several years ago. I'd had an old, it was an 870, and you know how I mean, great gun, but I have me a 3.5 inch Magnum. I was going
Oh,
3.5 inch Magnum. There was nothing going to stop me. And I was out here in the backyard. I was going to pattern that gun, and I pulled the trigger, and I went backwards, feet up, buddy.
real quick and in a hurry backwards, huh?
I decided after that I didn't need no 3.5 inch Magnum.
I had
Yeah.
started off, Christopher, using a 12 gauge, and then went to my crossbow, and a couple of times I wanted to try the 410 because of the recoil and how well and effective they were doing. But I went back to the 20 gauge. I think that's a good compromise for me in the recoil. I didn't even really consider a 28 gauge, so that's something that I'd have to think about too. It sounds like a great choice.
Man, I think it's a really good compromise between the 20 and the 410. I bought my wife a 410, and we haven't killed anything with it yet, but it patterns really well.
Mm-hmm.
But the 20, I mean, almost the 20 is almost, if you get a hot shell, it's like you're shooting a 12 gauge, man.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I wanted to go with the 28, and I'm really satisfied with it. It's pretty light recoil, and out to 40 yards, man. I got faith in it. It's really good.
I've switched up and got a 410. Everybody jumped on that bandwagon. Then I found I couldn't find as many shells in bulk. Was having trouble finding some turkey loads at one time. They've gotten a little bit better. And then I've got a 12 and 20 just, and I want to see what pattern's different. And
Yeah,
so I've gotten to where I just pretty much stick with my 12 gauge. I got a 3 and a TSS and let it go. And like you said, 50, 55 yards, it'll shoot past that. But
yeah.
I mean, I try to steer into what I know I'm going to be able to put that bird down and not have to give it any second shots.
Mhm. So I hope, I wish that maybe next year. I don't know. I just really like shotguns. So maybe next year somebody will come out with a 16 gauge TSS.
Well, the big thing is, as turkey hunters, we're all patterning our loads much more than we ever did. Growing up, you go out and take a couple shots, and it was good. But now, you're patterning the choke tube to the shell to where you're hunting to the temperature that day. I mean, you can get crazy on how you think about things, and at least we're all patterning our shotguns more and putting in a lot more work that we have confidence in whatever we're taking out there, and we know what we're able to do at a certain yardage.
Oh yeah, man. If I don't have any confidence in what I'm shooting, I'm not even going to pull the trigger.
Yeah, we don't want to take a chance on wounding a bird or doing anything like that. And
It ain't like,
I've had some foul ups. Do you? So I missed a bird hunting with KT and them, and it was solely operator error because man, my scope, dude, we went to turn it on. Here I am using a red dot. I want to be able to get on the birds quick, and we hit the button, would not come on, would not come on. Had gobblers out there at 45 yards, and I'm looking down just plain glass. So do you use an optic at all, or are you going right with bead?
I use a red dot. I have a real problem. I don't know if it's what it is, but I have a real problem keeping my head down on that stock, and so I
Right.
start red dot.
I
Yeah.
do too, Christopher. I think red dot's the way to go. And, as quadriplegics, we got to kind of sight down that barrel pretty good. And people always say, well, you don't need an optic. Why do you use an optic? And it works so much better for me. I know that if I'm using a scope, I'm accurate. If I miss, it's because I missed. It's
Mhm.
not, the gun's fault or anything else. If I lift my head up, that's on me. But using a red dot is the way I prefer if I'm using a shotgun.
Yep. I mean, it's made a big difference.
Technology is there for a reason, and we're going to use what's best bang out there. And I think what my problem was, for whatever reason, this one just had it was a solar hollow sun,
Uh huh.
and anytime I was in a blind or anywhere it was really dark, Even though it was a new battery or whatever, it was giving me problems. It would not come on and stay on. But if I got out from undercover, it did great. And so anytime I was hunting the field or whatever, so I ended up switching this year and went to a burris. And man, I haven't that thing has not skipped a beat.
Yeah, I have a burris on one of my guns, and when I put my 28 gauge together this year, I bought a Leupold, and
Yeah.
it's been really good too. So,
Christopher, do you use any other adaptive equipment? I know Mike and I have to have a gun mount and a sip and puff trigger. Do you use any adaptive equipment when you're hunting, or are you okay with your trigger finger?
uh, well, I'm okay with my trigger finger, but I always try to take a set of shooting sticks with, because it ain't like I'm getting down on my knee or anything. Got those sticks with me, I can always have my gun up and wait. I can bury that gun stock down in my wheel. So,
Makes a nice 3-point system, 3 points of contact there.
It's always difficult, when you throw a chair in the mix, it's not like we're trying to make excuses, but you're trying to call, you're trying to push your chair, you're trying to, be able to turn and get on birds. I know you got a lot more dexterity in your right and left turns. Me and Greg, we got to get where we think the bird's going to come, and then hope that the decoys pull them in. But you got pretty much good right and left movement when you shoot, right?
yeah, I do. But yeah, uh, I almost hate to admit it, but I missed a bird this year too. But just because I rushed the thing, I was actually down there hunting with the KT team and got the opportunity to hunt with Dave Owens, and
Yeah.
just totally rushed the shot. The bird came in hard to my left and missed the shot. And you talk about feeling about that big.
You know what though, dude? If you don't miss, you're not getting excited. You're not hunting. And the guy that tells you that they never miss, I don't really want to go hunting with that guy because I think he's lying and not getting excited enough.
I was tore up, man. I mean, it was a good hunt regardless.
That's
Oh,
right.
anytime in the woods is great, man. But I'm like you because I know Dave and those guys, and they pour a ton of time and effort into getting us out there. And Dave's not going to stop, man. He's going to work a bird to death and crawl towards them and
Oh,
away from them. And he is a true professional when it comes down to it. But man, it breaks my heart. I missed that bird with KT, and dude, I felt like a heel.
oh yeah. I told him, I was like, man, I don't know, make a video or not, whatever. But I told him, I was like, man, I'm sorry. I know you guys worked your tails off, and I rushed that shot and missed that bird. But we didn't stop hunting. We hunted the whole day.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it wasn't like he gave up on me and or anything like that. I mean, it just never did work back out. I'm tough here, man.
That's hunting, and at least you got the scare one. So that works sometimes too.
You're making great memories, man. You're getting out there learning a new craft. It's exciting, but I'm with you. It's difficult when we mess up on those birds. I know KT was making a video, man, but I was so upset I let an expletive fly, and I know that video, that thing we couldn't use for nothing, man. So I said, I not only did I miss the bird, I messed up the memory on the video too. But man, it's all part of great memories.
And they were frustrated, I mean, they
Christopher, if somebody wanted to purchase one of your calls, how would they go about doing that? And is the price going to go up after you win the Worlds?
no, prices after the war, maybe like the DD Adams or something up in Nashville, but I doubt. So they can contact me on Facebook Messenger or Instagram. I don't have a website yet, so if you're looking for one of my calls, you can contact me there. I have several pictures of them, and if you're looking for something in particular, just hit me up, man. I'll be glad to make.
Well, you're really making some beautiful calls, man. And I've been around some of these guys that are making them, and these pot calls, they're not an easy call to get where you're making, just true to sound. So for every call you make, how many of them are you able to tune, or how many for every one you sell, how many are you making?
Um, really, it just, man, like I was building some the other day, and I needed to build three, and I think I wound it just due to my own error. I mean, because you go a little too deep, you go. I think I wound up building, having to build six. Like sometimes the wood just don't work with you. Sometimes, it's just you just never know when you're working with wood.
Yep.
Right.
But
And you're not going to let something leave your wood shop that you wouldn't hunt with yourself.
oh no way, not at all. And building pot calls, it takes about. I mean, really, it takes about 4 days to know what that thing's going to sound like. So, I mean, you're kind of in a holding pattern.
Right. Is there any type of go-to wood that you like better than others? I know, some of it's really pretty. You got snake wood and purple heart and all that. Is there one that you like better than the other?
Yeah, I build most of my calls out of Osage, and it's a really good hardwood, and not hard to get, and it's not too expensive. And I've been using some canary wood too. Both of those are really good woods, and like a lot of like snake wood's hard to get, and it's really expensive. So I mean, you gotta charge for that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
It's hard to get, and it'll split on you. But I mean, it makes a really good striker and all that. But I kind of try to keep my stuff the same price.
Yeah.
I,
But
I, I think that's what a lot of folks don't realize is that you need several strikers, with,
Mm.
with a pot call or slate. And different strikers are going to give you different sounds as well, right?
oh yeah, you could have one pot call and 10 strikers and have 11 different calls.
Yep. Yep.
Do
And that
you see any difference in going from slate to glass versus, some metals and, you got some guys that they will only stick with a certain one. Is there something that your go-to?
I mean, I mostly build glass over slate in Osage. I mean, it's it's the formula I've got down. It sounds good, and I can consistently produce a good call out of it. I built one the other day that has an aluminum soundboard, and man, that thing's going to be a good one.
Good.
wow.
So,
Wow. Well, Christopher, we know you got to get packing and on the road, and we appreciate you taking time to speak with Mike and I again. And we'd love to have you back in the fall. I know that you prefer turkey hunting, but you do a lot of deer hunting too, and it's always good talking to you, man. And I appreciate you taking time out of your day to talk with Mike and I.
oh yeah, man, I appreciate you guys inviting me to be a part of it. We need to get together and all go on a hunting trip sometime.
That's the dream, man. I need to get down south. Mike invites me down all the time, and I need to make an effort to get down here this fall and see you guys. I'd really enjoy meeting you in person. I follow you on Facebook. We've been friends for a long time. Mike and I have been friends for, gosh, a decade and a half, and I've never met the guy in person, but we FaceTime every week and talk every day almost. So I'd love to see. I'd love to make it down to Georgia.
Yeah, man, y'all need to come down and go to a KT hunt.
Absolutely. I'm gonna be there with you, brother, and I might just have to shoot off your shoulder, and we'll see what we can make work. But I'll
Do
be
it.
definitely following up to see how you guys did this weekend. Are they gonna have it live, or they're gonna be a way for anybody to watch it?
Yeah, I think Alex was talking about taking an extra phone so he could stream it. So
Nice.
if you look on Alex DeBoard's page, or
Yeah.
maybe on the Talk About It Outdoors page, I'm not sure, but he's going to try to have a live stream going. And I know Dustin, he always do a live stream, so somebody will have it going.
Okay.
Well,
Well, good.
we wish you the best of luck, brother, and we're pulling for you. And whenever you win, you text us or message us because we'll be sitting on the edge of our cushions here.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you.
Well, man, thank you again for coming on and taking time. And dude, I look forward to seeing you down there again in fall. And we'll have to get you up here, man. We do some birds.
Yeah, man. I'd love it. Let's do it.
Sounds good. Thank you again for taking your time, man. And really, good luck this weekend. You guys have safe travels and kill them out there.
All right, man. Thank you guys so much.